my name's John. In this, the second part of the review of the Sortec Inverter MIG Welder, I'm going to basically show you what the controls do, where all the connections go, how you put a roll of wire in, how you fit the torch, the gas supply, basically the things you need to do to set it up to be able to start welding. There's 3 LED warning lights on the top of the front panel. The first one tells you when it's turned on. The second one is another temperature one. If it starts to get too hot, it gets near the end of its duty cycle, that one will come on. The third one is a malfunction light. If it senses low input voltage, there's a problem inside the machine, that light comes on. That's a light you don't want to see. Right, there's a switch on the top, the picture of a TIG torch, the picture of a stick welding torch. That's MIG welding and manual metal arc welding, MMA welding. There's only 3 knobs. First one there says voltage, goes from 0 to 10. That is your actual welding current, your welding power. The second one says wire speed. Strangely enough, that controls how fast the wire is fed through the gun. There's a one here which says MMA amps. That's for stick welding, manual metal arc. I'm going to do some stick welding later on and we'll use that then. Right down the front there's a big brass connector here. It's what they call a Euro connector. It's a standard connector for a Euro type MIG welding torch. There's 2 other outputs, what they call DINS outputs. There's a negative one, that goes for your earth cable onto your bench or onto your job. And the one below that's positive, that's where you plug your stinger in if you're going to do some stick welding, manual metal arc welding. This is the back of the machine. We've got an on-off switch. There's a connector there for gas, that's your gas inlet into the machine. That's your mains cable. Cooling fans. There's a point there, it's an earth point. You can put a lead from that to your earth. If you had a steel welding bench, you could earth that to your steel welding bench. It stops any interference you may get on a radio or a... As you can see, I've put a plug on the machine. It's what they call a commando type plug. I've got a 32 ohm supply in my shop. I'm going to run it off that. Using a heavy supply means I can use the welder out to its full potential at 250 amps. I've also got an adapter lead here, which will go from my 32 amp commando socket to a 13 amp plug. The machine will run up to 160 amps off a 13 amp plug. I will run it off a 13 amp supply and show you just what it will do. Right. Inside the machine, that's where your wire reel goes onto. It takes either a 15 kilogram roll, a big one, or a 5 kilogram roll. There's a tension spring in there which puts a little bit of load onto that. You don't want to run it free, otherwise the reel can unwind and the wire all comes off and a nasty big pile. So there's a nut on there which presets the tension. Just want a little bit of tension on that. Right, this is probably one of the most important parts of the machine, the wire feed mechanism. This one's made of metal. On some cheaper welders are made of plastic. You need a metal one. There's a spring there which holds tension between the 2 rollers. One roller there and one roller there. That's an idle roller. And that one there's your drive roller. The machine comes with a drive roller on there with 2 grooves in. One groove is 0.8mm and one groove is for 1mm wire. It simply comes off with a nut. Like that. It comes off. You're also supplied with another one which is 0.6 and 0.8. The thinner the wire, the lower the amperage. The thicker the wire, the higher the amperage. So you can weld between 0.6 and 1mm wire as the machine comes. The grooves in these are what they call a V groove. That's for steel wire. If you want to weld aluminium, you need a groove, a U-shaped groove in a different liner for the torch, which our tech can supply. Your idler wheel goes down, that clips on top of it. And there's a spring in there which puts tension on your roller. Right, there's a couple of connectors up here. That's used for reversing the polarity of the machine if you're going to use it on gasless, like flux coated wire, flux cored wire. At the minute it's on positive, that's torch positive. If you want to use flux core wire, you would move that from the positive to the negative, and that will make the torch negative. Just to recap, drive roller, that's a Hagler roller, it's a drive roller, different size grooves in for different size wire. 0.6, 0.8 and 1 mil wire. The thinner the wire, the lower the amperage, the thicker the wire, the higher the amperage. Two connectors there, that one's positive, that's for ordinary MIG welding. The other one's negative, makes that torch negative for flux cored wire. Right, we're back on the front of the machine. First thing we're going to connect is a torch. Torch simply plugs in. That nut nips it up. Right, that's our torch connected. Got a shroud on the end of the torch. That pulls off. There's a tip that the wire feeds to, a contact tip. That unscrews. We've got three sizes of tip, 0.6, 0.8 and 1 mil. I'll probably start off with a 0.6 and work up the amperage scale. Right. Next thing is our earth connection, goes into there. Nice heavy duty earth lead, copper lead. That goes into there and turns and locks in. As I've already said, the positive one is for stick welding, or if you're using flux core and you reverse the polarity, your earth would go into there and your torch would become negative torch, positive earth for flux core wiring, flux core welding. Right, so that's basically the connections on the front of the machine. We'll go to the back of the machine. The only thing that's going to concern one here is my gas connection. Gas tape screws on, ordinary thread. Just a little nip, that's all it takes. Right. Right, next thing is we need a bottle of gas. Gas for MIG welding, you use a mixed gas, mixture of argon, CO2 and oxygen. You can use pure argon if you're welding aluminium or stainless steel. Right, a bottle of gas here. This is the gas I use. It's called Sure Shield 5. It's 93% argon, 5% CO2 and 2% oxygen. Ideally the bottle should be fastened onto a trolley with a welder. I haven't got a trolley for it. But what I can do, I advised this on the last time, I'll give it some advice. Tie the bottle to something, because if you do it, you can guarantee you'll bump it as soon as you put your regulator on, you'll knock the bastard over and you'll smash your love in your regulator. So just tie it to something, a bench shop, whatever, then you haven't got to worry about it falling over. Simple as that. Believe me, I've done it. Right, the machine supplied with a regulator, single stage, twin gauge regulator. All the regulator does, it drops the pressure in the bottle from 300 bar down to 5, 6, 7 psi for welding. First thing you do, gently crack the valve, let a little bit of gas out, and it blows any shite out of the threads of the valve. Regulator just screws on, ordinary thread. Flammable gases are left hand thread, oxygen, argon, ordinary thread. Right, so that simply screws on. And just nip it up tight. Tight with a gas pipe. What I'll probably do, I'll probably put a flow meter on here so I know exactly how much gas is going through. It saves wasting gas. That screws onto there. Just a little nip tip on that. It's often not a bad idea, especially when new stuff, to spray a little bit of soapy water on, just make sure you've got no leaks, because you don't want to start wasting gas. Turn it on. We've got 2500 psi in the bottle. Right, there's the two gauges. That's the content gauge, bottle content, and that's your actual pressure coming out of the regulator into the machine. Right, it's set at 1 bar there, you pull the trigger, it drops to half a bar, which is about 8 psi, which is a good pressure for welding. Right, we've got our torch connected, our ground leads connected, our bottle's connected, our regulator, and our pressure's set. What we need now is some wire. I'm going to start off with 0.6 wire. We'll start off with the thin stuff on the lower settings and work our way up. As I've already said, you can put either a 5 or a 15 kilogram spool of wire on. What I've got here, I've got a 5 kilogram roll of 0.6 wire. Outside actually supplied this wire. You can get it anywhere, it's all standard sort of stuff, but buy decent stuff. One thing you've got to watch is what you're doing to lost the end of the wire. I once dropped a 15 kilogram spool of MIG wire, the bastard stuff went everywhere. You've just got to throw it away. There you can see that. That's the end of the wire there, it's fastened in. Whatever you do, don't lose that. Right, we've got our roll of 0.6 wire. We're going to be feeding off the bottom. So it goes on that way. You notice there's a couple of holes in the reel. They locate under the pin on the reel carrier, on the spool carrier. This is angled slightly down over, which means that just locks in there like that, which means it can't fall off, it goes itself on. And the trap just screws on like that. So it's got a bit of friction, so the reel can't unwind itself. And we've got a 0.6 mm roller already installed. We'll get the end of the wire. Be careful you don't lose it, don't let go of it. Trim the end off. Side cutters are valuable when you're using a MIG welder. It goes through that guide hole, goes along the top of the roller. There's a hole in the liner into there. So there's two grooves in the roller. That's a 0.8 one. The 0.6 one is in where the wire's actually going. So the wire simply pushes through there. Into the hole in the liner. Idler goes down. A little bit of tension there. It doesn't need a great lot. You can adjust the tension as you're setting it up. You just want enough tension to push the wire through smoothly. When you pull the trigger, you can see the reel revolving. It's being revolved because the wire's been pulled off it. See the wire come out to the end of the gun. There it is. Right, the wire's through. Put a tip on, 0.6 tip. That screws in. Little spanner, you get a spanner with a welder. Just a little nip. That's your wire feeding through. Shoulder goes on like that. And basically that's ready to start welding. Where's the bastard? Here it is. Don't wear them. Don't wear rubber gloves on your weld. Bollocks. Right, I need to talk a little bit about safety. I need to talk a lot about safety. I need to talk about something. The rule of MIG wire, its ambition in life is to ravel up and snarl up. The bastard things are horrible.